Australia's handling of Indigenous issues has been criticised by a UN Committee on Racial Discrimination. A new report has challenged the 3-year suspension of the Racial Discrimination Act that enabled the federal intervention into remote Aboriginal communities. The UN also pointed out that Indigenous rights are not enshrined in Australia's constitution.
The Howard government suspended the Racial Discrimination Act in June 2007 to enable the intervention in remote Aboriginal communities, and the Rudd government left it that way until June this year, when the Act was reinstated.
I must say, in my experience, I've dealt with maybe 150 countries since I've been on this committee, roughly. This was the first time we'd witnessed a suspension of discrimination on a very fundamental issue.
I don't know if Australia wants to be that sort of country that sort of creates laws to protect people, then suspends it. And I think it's great that the United Nations has picked up on that and has made comment.
Australian lawyers strongly protested the suspension of the Racial Discrimination Act, and the topic was discussed at a national forum in Brisbane today. They're still campaigning to get Indigenous people equal access to legal help.
Probably closest to the heart of lawyers, the legal profession, is the incredible overrepresentation of Indigenous Australians in our justice system and in our jails.
That and the difference in life expectancy for Indigenous people were also noted by the UN. But the federal government says it's committed big funds to help fight the gap if it gets another term.
Over the next 3 years, we're allocating more than $5 billion in health, education, housing, employment, to do exactly that. We know that it is a big job, but it must be done.
Lawyers have long championed the legal recognition of Indigenous rights in the Australian Constitution, another omission that drew criticism from the UN.
It's not surprising at all, and hopefully it might be just another reason why this whole issue needs to be re-examined.
During the election campaign, both parties promised a referendum on enshrining Indigenous rights in the Constitution. Karen Berkman, ABC News, Brisbane.